Hello, it's Mrs Barton here. This weekend, the RSPB, that's the Royal Society for Protection of Birds, are launching a big bird watch in the garden. So they're asking us to look in our garden for just 1 hour, 60 minutes, and to write down all the different birds that we see. Now, I get some birds in my garden, but I thought it would be a really good idea if I could attract a few more birds to my garden. So, this evening I'm going to show you how to make a bird feeder, and I'm making it with things that you've probably got at home. So the main thing that you'll need is one of these, the middle of a toilet roll tube. You'll also need some plain flour, some water, and I'm using bird seed, but you could actually use breadcrumbs or bits of vegetables or maybe even rabbit food or hamster food if you've got some around. I'll put that to one side for the moment. Now, in terms of equipment, you will need some quite sharp scissors, so you might want to get an adult to help you with this bit. I'm also using a knitting needle to poke my holes. Again, you might want to get adult help with this bit. I'm going to need some string, and I'm going to use a couple of sticks to make little perches for the birds. So you might want to use little sticks from your garden or from a local park, or I've got my more colourful option here, these bright blue lolly sticks. Maybe I'll have a go at making both. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to poke your holes in your toilet roll holder. Now then, you could either do this using a knitting needle or maybe your sharp scissors, but be super careful not to poke through a hole and then end up stabbing your fingers on the other side. So I'm going to hold it down at the other end. I'm going to wiggle a bit with my knitting needle, there we go. And I've got a hole that goes all the way through to the other side. And then I'm going to turn it over so that my holes are on the side, and I'm going to do the same thing again. That's going to provide me with space to poke my little sticks through, which will make some perches for the birds. When I've got my perch holes, I'm going to do the same thing at the top of my toilet roll tube, either using my sharp scissors or using my knitting needle, a hole all the way across, because that's where I'm going to thread the string to hang up my bird holder. I'm not going to put the perches through yet or tie the string on yet, because the next thing that I need to do is I need to stick the bird seed all the way around the outside. To make my glue, I'm going to use some flour, just ordinary plain flour. Maybe the birds would prefer wholemeal, I don't know. I'm going to add about that much. Maybe it's about 2 tablespoons full. And I'm going to add water, just enough to wet it. I don't want it too runny, but I need to wet all of the flour. So I stir it round and round and round and round until it makes a gloopy paste. Just enough to drop off the spoon. And then I'm going to get my toilet roll tube and I'm going to spread my paste all around the outside. I'm holding my tube in the middle so that I don't get this yucky paste all over my fingers. And I spread it all around the outside, right round, all the way around, not too thickly, but so that my toilet roll tube is covered. Next, I put some of my bird seed onto a plate or into a shallow dish. And I'm going to get my gloopy toilet roll tube and I'm going to roll it round and round and round in the bird seed until it's completely covered. The reason I've used the flour and water to make the glue is that it's safe for the birds to eat. If I used any different glue, or maybe even a Pritt stick that I had in my house, I don't think the seeds would fit very well, would stick very well, but also I don't know if that's safe for the birds, whereas I know that they can eat flour and water. And there we go, there's my toilet roll tube, all covered with seed. I'm going to put that to one side to dry for a little while. Once I have my toilet roll tubes and they're covered with bird seed and it's had a chance to dry a little bit, I'm going to put my other bits together. I'm going to push my perches through the holes that I made earlier. I might need to wiggle them a little bit so that they fit through the holes. And hopefully I won't scrape off too much of the bird seed. There we go, that's going through nicely. Is it going through the other side? There we are. So now I've got somewhere for my birds to sit whilst they're eating their lovely food. And last of all, I need to find a way of hanging it up. So I'm going to get my piece of string. And I'm going to work out a way of poking it through the hole. I might use my scissors or I might use the knitting needle to poke it through, because it can be awfully tricky to try to poke string through a hole that has got birdseed on the outside. You might even need to get a grown-up to help you, although sometimes little fingers are easier with this sort of thing than big fingers. I'm going to, oops, try not to spill it everywhere. I'm going to also poke the string through the hole on the other side. Where's it gone to? Over on that side. Ugh, this glue is not very dry, so it feels horribly messy. There we are. And then I can finish off by tying my string in a knot. And there we go. There's my bird feeder, ready to hang next to my window or in my garden, so that I can watch the birds come and eat the seed, and I can count how many birds come to my garden.